So 3 years ago, when this process was getting thrust in our backyards and our lap, the idea of this coming to New York, Catskill Mountain Keeper was running around trying to find more and more information about what this all meant. And when you first looked at some of the documents, you found the ridiculous things that you all remember is opening up that original SGEIS the first time that said, due to the nature of gas drilling, there's no cumulative impact. And a whole series of things. Well, one of the first things that I testified for at a hearing was to ask for a health impact assessment. At the time, everybody's like, nobody's going to do a health impact assessment. What are you talking about? Well, number one, that was at a hearing that was put together by one of our elected officials who called for a hearing to find out more information, the same way all of us were trying to get more information. And then he has held those hearings every October now. It's become an annual event. And then last spring, he had a hearing on health impacts. I'd like to welcome Assemblyman Bob Sweeney.
Thank you. Good morning. Let me tell you, I'm going to be the quiet one, by the way. No yelling, no shouting. I'll leave that for other people. But
effective.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Adrienne says effective. Thank you. We'll find out. You know, Wes makes an interesting point. I hadn't thought about it. Since 2009, we've been working on this issue and holding hearings on this issue. And you're being here today, and I want to start because first and foremost, the most important thing that I can tell you is how, from a legislator's point of view, how important it is for you to be here today. If you're wondering why you got up early and made that trip in bad weather, and do I really have to do this? Yes, you do, and yes, this is important. So let me start by saying thank you for everything, for being here today, for all the work you're going to do here today, and speaking to legislators, Assembly and Senate. I can tell you that in the 3 years, the multiple hearings that we've done, all of the correspondence and the letters to DEC, all the communication we've had with organizations, with individuals, with other legislators, how this whole issue has shifted. And I think the fact that we're here 3 years after the fact is a great thing, and it hasn't happened yet, is good, okay? Because it means people are taking the time to honestly look at this issue and come to the right conclusion. And I can see that in the legislature. I can't tell you how many of my legislative colleagues in the Assembly, and the Assembly, I will take a moment to point out, has been the leader on this issue. And I want to say thank you to all of my Assembly colleagues, some of whom are here today, Linda Rosenthal from New York City, Micah Kellner from New York City. I see Ithaca, so Barbara Lifton must be here someplace. But you have so much support in the Assembly, and a lot of it is because you made that effort, but a lot of it is because the information is getting out and the communication is being made. And I have had many of my colleagues tell me in the last couple of weeks that they've had time to think about this issue. I'm sure what they mean is they've been hearing from their constituents about this issue, and they're having a change of heart on the fracking issue. And the fact is that over the 3 years that we've been doing the hearings and everything else, what we have learned is how much we still have to learn. There isn't a week that goes by where we don't hear about things that are happening in other states, things that are happening in other countries. What's the latest country to ban hydrofracking? Bulgaria. Are we going to be second to Bulgaria? So the fact is that your being here is important. It is having an effect. The information that comes out is having an effect. And people are beginning to understand, you know, hydrofracking is an industrial activity. It would change the face of this state. It would change the health and well-being of the residents of this state. It would affect the quality of our environment. And it would impose new costs on the state and its taxpayers. So let's take the time to understand the whole story before it's too late and before the damage is done. Thank you for being here today.
So again, on that same topic of listening to the people, we had this SGIS that came out, and we only had 4 hearings from the DEC. There were cities and communities that took it upon their hands to hold their own hearings, and then there were some elected officials, like Liz Rosenthal, that called for her own hearing. Assemblywoman Liz Rosenthal.
Thank you, Wes, so much. I'm Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal. I represent the Upper West Side, parts of Clinton, and I'm happy to see some of my constituents here today because they've been among the faithful out there from the beginning, as have many of you. So standing here today, I feel an earthquake. It's not the same kind of earthquake that they have in Ohio, Wyoming, or Arkansas, because we're not going to allow those kind of earthquakes here, are we? The earthquake I hear is you. And yes, I applaud all of you for coming here and causing our own ground reverberation, because everybody in a position of power who might make the decision to allow fracking in this state is going to feel the earth tremble underneath them. Is that right? Woo! We are not going to let this happen in New York State. Our resources are much too important. We must protect them. We cannot get them again. This is how this land here was born, so to speak. This is our natural right and our resources, and we will not let anyone mess with it. As Wes said, knowing that there were not enough hearings or opportunities for people in New York City, not to mention the rest of the state, to find out the truth about hydrofracking and the plans to go ahead with it, even though there is no information that says it's a safe tactic. I convened a hearing in my district, and I had almost 500 people, standing room only, come and say, we do not want fracking in the state of New York. Now, for those who think that this is an upstate, downstate divide, why should people in Manhattan, in New York City, give a fig on what happens upstate? You're wrong, because we all care about our water. We all care about our environment. And we all care about the health and safety of the people, the animals, and all of us in this great state of New York. The EPA highlighted all of the concerns brought up by the environmental groups, saying the DEC's plan basically is a no-starter. It does not address the major concerns that the EPA has and that every single one of you who is standing here today has. So what I'm here to say is I am so grateful, as are all of us in the legislature who you know have to fight some of the powers to insist that we will not allow the state to go forward with fracking because it is not safe. It has not proved to be safe. We know it's caused earthquakes elsewhere, but we're causing our own earthquake here to say to everyone in power, watch out, because we are going to create the biggest firestorm you've ever seen if this goes forward. Thank you very much.